Welcome everybody to day 2, which is the sacral chakra energy. I'm so honored to serve you today. I'm so honored, Tamika, for you to be here. This one is really, this is to me where it starts to get fun. It starts to get a little bumpy, but it gets fun because as we activate the energy, and I'm gonna play a video for you today from Carolyn Miss when she first started like on this journey of doing what she does. But once we start activating all these energies, it's literally like that light, the traffic light, where it's just like boom, 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 and everything in you starts to just click. And I just know on that last day when we do the crown chakra, it's like you feel so elated and so understanding of yourself, right? I was on a call earlier today with a bunch of like movers and shakers from it was actually Clubhouse, which I love Clubhouse because it's like this new platform that allows you to just rub elbows with people that you wouldn't typically be able to rub elbows with because there's the degrees of separation and circles of people, whatever. And we were talking about how to know your worth and add tax. And, the question kind of was, okay, well, say you're just starting out, do you just like, you start small and like maybe you just charge a little bit, or do you just like really believe in yourself and go all in and charge, like do your research, but charge your worth? Right. And it's funny because this consensus, and I agree with this, which is like charge your worth and know yourself. Right. So needless to say, my point of saying this is like the more we know ourselves and we know our triggers, how we respond to things, the things that we hear that are like, oh shit, that hit hard. Like when I said one thing yesterday that you were just like, oh, and I could tell it was like, okay, that I needed that. Yeah. You put that in my bag. But when you don't hear it, sometimes it's hard to pinpoint for yourself. Where is this emotion coming from? Where is the root of it? The purpose of this is to help you to get to the root, that you know your trigger. So even if you're still triggered, maybe playing small, whatever, in any area, you're able to keep chiseling that away. Like, yeah. No, we're not doing that no more. Like, I already know what it is. Like, nope, I am the captain of my ship. Mm-hmm. And we're going to move in faith and power, period. So the sacral chakra, this is creative, sexual, playful, feminine. For me, how I sum it up, and I've been saying this, which is so funny because I inserted this into my meditations out of intuition, which is ease, calm, and flow. Mm-hmm. The divine feminine is the ease, the calm, and the flow within us that allows us to flow, that allows us to be attractors. So this is when we move from tribal to other relationships. All right. So your first chakra is tribal, the roots of, what your parents are telling you, what society tells you, right? The educational system, the religion, all these tribal memories that we don't realize have stamped our levels of belief in ourselves and our viewpoint of the world. Right now we elevate to relationships with other people. So this is relationships to help you meet your physical and your personal needs. So the primary fears of this chakra are fears of loss of control, which you mentioned yesterday, right? I stepped into this phase of now I was making more money. Now I feel out of control. Now I feel like as much as I wanted this so bad, I'm in this space that's new. And the first thing that comes to mind is like, whoa, what if I lose it? Right? Or being controlled by another, right? So if you're in a committed relationship, right? I think a lot of times you had said something else as far as like, no, you said the fear of losing it, but also I think in relationships, I feel like sometimes, what we don't realize in relationships is like at every level, there's levels of grieving of self. And I think in relationships, when we realize this, like you don't lose a part of yourself. I don't want to say that, but you do have to surrender to the relationship dynamic. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Right? It's not the me dynamic. When you're single, it's like, where do I want to go? What do I want to eat? Who am I going to call? What am I, you can sit and talk to your friend for 2 hours. If you got a man, he going to be like, sis, why every night you on the phone with your friend and I'm trying to chill with you? Right. So, in a way, we're giving up some sort of control to another person, or even fearing. I think sometimes the trauma response is like, you ain't gonna tell me what to do. Don't try to control me. And he's like, I'm just trying to spend time with you. That's mm-hmm. it, right? through the dominating power of events and conditions such as addiction, rape, betrayal, impotence, financial loss, abandonment by our primary partner or professional colleagues. Also the fear of loss of the power of the physical body. The strengths of this chakra are the ability and the stamina to survive financially and physically on one's own and to defend and protect oneself. The fight or flight instinct, the ability to take risks, the resilience to recover from a loss, whether it's family members, partners, property, occupation, or finances. The power to rebel and reestablish life in personal and professional decision-making ability and talent. So when I look at this chakra, again, I think many people and most of my tribe can resonate with, yo, we've turned some negative shit into, like, we turned that piece of coal. We like, baby, it might take me some time, but that's going to be a diamond when I finish with it. That's what we do. But equally, because we have not worked through the traumas in the process of the elevation, we're still triggered. We're still operating out of the fear of the chakra, which is like, you're not going to control me, or maybe you become too controlling in relationships, right? So it could go either way. Maybe you're afraid of being controlled, or you are too controlling.
Yeah.
You don't relinquish the feminine power of ease, calm, and flow. Like, babe, what you want to do today? How can I serve you today? That's tough for leadership, for leading women, for women who are alpha, especially alpha females, which is like, that's my tribe. We are alpha to the core.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes time. And I think that's a healing of alpha feminine. Like,
Yeah.
I can be alpha, but where am I feminine? And relearning that, and not being so animalistic in our delivery to men or the people we are dating, so that we can just allow it to flow and let it be what it's going to be, and also be like affirmative in what we need and what we desire with that person, right? It's like a thin balance. So I'm going to play this video with Carolyn Miss, and she starts it out. It starts in the middle of the sentence of her saying, the place where the energy gets the most blocked is the root, the sacral, and the solar plexus. Those are all your lower physical, your physical body chakras. Okay. So once you get to the heart, right? The heart is literally the barrier, the fence, if you will, between spirit and physical, right? Because if you have a broken heart, you know, you're being too rational and you don't allow love, and everything from here below, all the memories of what we're talking about, they're dictating what the heart decides. But the heart is literally, and once we get to the heart, I recommend a movie that is on YouTube. It's no longer on YouTube. You have to subscribe to Gaia to actually watch it, but it's a movie about the heart, and how when they did these tests, it was proof that the heart knows before. So they did a test where they put visuals in front of people, and they would monitor the heart. And what it showed was that the heart would have a negative response or a positive response to the image before the image appeared. Right. So our power of knowing, right? When people are like, just follow your heart, just follow your heart. When you're blocked, you don't really follow your heart. And then sometimes, right, when you don't have clarity, you like, is it my heart, or do I gotta pee? You know what I'm saying? Like, is it my heart, or am I nervous? Is it my heart, or, you know, and we debate too much, opposed to like, I'm at a place in life where it's like, I gotta be able to decide like this. If it's not the heart, let it go now.
Yes.
It gotta go. Yeah. People, places, and things, like, it has to go, because I'm gonna suffer in the future for not listening to the intuition and the guidance that was provided to me by knowing when it is the heart. Because I feel it all up in here. And I know the difference between me looking through pain and me looking through, that ain't for you, sis.
Yeah.
That ain't for you. And when I'm looking through pain, where I'm trying to force something to be for me. So we'll get to that. So yeah, let me share my screen. Here we go. Make it bigger. So she's talking about the sacral chakra in this part. Here we go.
Most negativity are the first, second, and third, because what happens is, let's say well, let's go on into how we negatively lose power in the second chakra. This may sound like I'm talking about an issue that none of you can relate to. So I'm going to talk about the need to be in control. Yes, I thought so. All right. When you need to control somebody, the technique, what automatically happens is you begin to discharge energy from your second chakra. And you literally begin to penetrate this system. Now, it's no accident that the nature of this penetration is exactly like sexual penetration. You are literally attempting to control another person's energy field, and usually the other person returns the compliment with either an equal battle in which you have an adversarial relationship with someone, or where you have the aggressor and the victim kind of dynamic going on. Either way, you're going to lose energy, and the need to be in control is very territorial. And you know, have you ever seen the way animals mark their territory? It's by using, shall we say, the energy from this part of their body. They literally mark their territory. We have that instinct in us. But we mark our territory by the way we speak, by our attitude. We're attitude markers, okay? And you know, you want to test how territorial you are? Watch how you feel if you walk into your workplace and somebody's messed up your desk, or somebody has moved your files. Now, I could tell you on a, shall we say rational level, what's the matter with you? These papers weigh 2 ounces. This is just paper. It weighs 2 ounces. It's not paper to you. It's power, and it's power you've invested your circuits in, and that's all there's to it. And you lose a great deal of your sense of energy over that, because if you really thought about this, when you have controlling relationships or the need to control people you fear losing, as in an emotional relationship, or where you are terrified that this person is going to change at a speed that doesn't include you or just doesn't need you as much, that you are literally waging war 100% of the time of each day of your life. I just want you to hold that image in mind, that no matter who you are, no matter what you're doing, you could be vacuuming, you could be whatever it is, but you are waging war, because this is the battle zone. And when you are thinking about another person with whom you have a negative relationship, and have any of you ever felt any jealousy? Yeah. All right. This is the energy. We have that kind of energy here. We have the energy of that you want to apply that kind of notion of jealousy, which is the hot, raging one, to what happens if your partner in relationship does this without your permission. Looks to the right, looks to the left. That kind of controlling energy is so incredibly terrifying, because you realize instantly you're losing power. But that's one of the hardest kinds of energy to literally call back to you, because it shoots so fast and you don't want to call back, because you really want to hold on to the territory of that other person. Another part of our energy that we lose so quickly from the second chakra is to addictions. Now, addictions come in many forms. They're not just physical. We have emotional addictions. We have what we call supportive addictions to our personality, to our spiritual practice. But they're really addictions. They can be, in their shadow side, a way of controlling others. I've walked into many a household where people will say, take off your shoes, speak silently at this hour, I'm in meditation, but you sense immediately this really isn't in support of their spirituality. They're taking charge of the rules of the land, and you have to operate within those rules. I tend to say, excuse me, I'm out of here, because that kind of energy makes me very uncomfortable. But that's exactly what's going on. On the other hand, let's talk about the positive side of this. The positive side of the second chakra is that you can empower people with it. You know, living in this planet, in a world where sexuality, money, relationships with other people mean a form of physical survival, it's very difficult to learn how to work with this energy on a generous basis. This is not the center of our body where we're accustomed to being generous. It is more often that we need to borrow from others a little bit of this energy because we're running out, because it's such an expensive chakra to maintain. This is not a cheap chakra center, okay? This is like your Neiman Marcus center, okay? Okay. And so when you are actually in a supportive relationship from the second chakra, you are capable of saying to another person, not pulling out money from your pocket and giving them $200 or something. It's more like holding the position of support that says, you know what, I believe you're going to make it. But you are actually kicking prana into that belief and transferring it to them. You're not just saying empty words. You're actually taking a part of your prana that engages contact with their energy system. So suddenly they feel an electric charge from the words you shared, whereas somebody else can say the same thing and it goes in one ear and out the other, as they say. Those people with whom you have that kind of relationship, either on the giving end or the supporting end, in terms of how they work with their physical power, how they feel about themselves physically, in terms of their sense of sexuality, in terms of learning to manage their control issues, and you're able to support them there, you engage a very beautiful capacity of the heart, which is the ability to merge that loving energy of the heart with that very primal energy, that primal survival energy of the second chakra. And you mix that two together and you have a very forceful electricity, because you give someone a true sense of it's more than faith in the universe. It is simultaneously faith in God and in the universe that's in us as God, that you can handle what's happening to you, not in your emotional life, but in your physical life. It gives you physical strength. Mm-hmm. So when you're losing power from your second chakra, you want to ask yourself these questions. Do I need to control anybody? If so, how much? And identify who that person is. But the best way to identify it is not to say, and to say the person by name particularly, like I need to control Tom or Mary or Sue or Billy. You're leaning over your second chakra, by the way. We got your vulnerable point. But rather that don't evaluate whether you're controlling the messenger in your life. See it symbolically. Because you ask yourself, am I controlling in personal relationships? Because what you begin to understand is whether this person was sitting opposite you or that person, you would be just as controlling. So it's not that particular person. It's rather, am I controlling in relationships in general? Or do I allow others to control me? If so, why? Do I have any addictions? How much? And how much of my energy do I pour into addictions? How much do they have control over me? Right? Addictions are an incredibly expensive energetic habit. Never mind what they do to you physically. Okay. What about your relationship to finances? Ask yourself, does money have power over me? Can I be controlled by money? Can I be bought? Okay. You've got to ask yourself these questions, because if you answer yes, and I'm sure nobody in this room will, but if you answer yes, what you have to realize is that in terms of healing at an unconscious level, and maybe more unconscious than you'll ever realize, you'll associate healing with something you can buy. versus something that you actually have to generate within yourself. Because you'll have a buy and sell mentality of power. So you really, and the other thing, I mean, you want to ask yourself, am I afraid to make money? Am I frightened of it? And here again, you're going to face a question of maturity, because you want to ask yourself, do I want to stay on an allowance on this planet? Or do I really want to manage myself at a more adult level and allow higher finances to come into my energy field?
All right, so we're going to stop it there. If you want the link to this video, you can absolutely, I'll send that to you as well.
Please.
Yeah, that's so good. It's so good. Those were like the first conferences that she ever did. But the points of, right, controlling. So I'm going to go down. So it's just rewinding a little bit. So the physical, so remembering every chakra has a physical part of the body that it affects. This is your sexual organs, your large intestines, your lower vertebrae, your pelvis, your hip, your appendix, your bladder. You just said that you have irritable bowel syndrome.
I have so many gastric and bowel issues.
Yes.
So many.
So I really hope you let today's energy really sit with you and start bringing healing into that center, and really use these questions of so it's your emotional and your mental body, and she's talking about your power of choice. Your power of choice, and how we relinquish this power to a degree. And I think the healing is about re-stepping into that power, and the questions that she's asking really allow us to analyze, again, your triggers. Are you controlling? It takes a lot to say, I am controlling. And I think we do this a lot. When I hear her talk about that, I think we do it a lot with our children in particular. How we expel so much energy on the investment of, we tie our emotional selves, our physical selves into not only their well-being, but they almost in an unconscious way represent how successful we were, which is so unhealthy, and I think that's like so deep, because so many of us, I learned that as a parent, where I'm learning to unlearn that, and like whatever they grow up to do and be, like I can't take responsibility for it or credit. I could just do the best that I can do and allow it to be. But when I hear about controlling, I know that for one thing, for me, it's been relinquishing that control from my children and allowing them to just be, which is challenging. And going back to what we talked about with like being an alpha woman, being alpha, I think sometimes we stand so tall in that assertion of ourselves that we're really just beginning to learn, what does feminine energy feel like? What does it feel like to allow the person to lead? And I think when we're doing it from a traumatic, painful point, we allow them to be manipulative, opposed to like, oh, well, they're leading. Like the difference between them leading and them being manipulative. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. I'm just thinking in my head, I grew up with a very controlling mother. Because of that, I had a tendency to allow people to control me. But to my core, like even though I'm an alpha woman, I enjoy serving my man. I enjoy being with somebody who can lead me, because I'm leading everywhere else, right? So I feel safe in a relationship where I have a man that I can trust to lead me. But I just feel like I have this internal conflict of not using my voice, having all those years of and even now, like me and my mom are strained right now just over controlling things. But to my core, I think the heart of me is like, I love to serve and love on people. My grandmother was like, you love people how they are, where they are. Like, and I, sat under her, but then I have a mom who's like, even now, did you feed your kids? I'm 43. My kids are 18 and 11. They're still alive. Why are you still asking me if I feed my children?
And I want you to consider, I think the greatest point that she talks about, that we need to really interpret in a higher level of value and understanding. And I swear to God, this machine is going to be made available for our own eyes because we can't see energy. So I think we hear it and we understand it, but we don't internalize it enough to be like, okay, where do I need to draw lines of energy? Because remember, she talked about, you know, when you are controlling, you then, you know, you're literally tapping into that person's sacral energy, and it becomes this pull where like you're the victim and your mom's the controller, right? And this doesn't make her a bad person because she's going off of what she learned, how she learned to be. And a lot of times people are projecting their pain to make sure like everybody else is good because they're still living in levels of pain and unhealed emotional trauma. So we understand that at that level. And for me, even in relationships where I feel certain strains and different things, I literally will meditate on pulling my energy from that person because I understand the physical, energetic exchange of literally how that feels. So it's like your mama calls you, and I know probably just like you used to be years ago, you still probably have that little trigger where you're like, ooh, you know?
Easy. That's why when she was talking about that, I was like, oh my God. Like when I go to my mom's house, I am so uptight. Up in that house. My whole energy just shifts. Like when my mom stands near me, I'm like, and I love her, but it's like I can feel it. It's like I feel nauseous a lot of times.
Yeah. She's too tapped into your energy.
Way too tapped into my energy.
Right. So when you meditate and you know, I want you to definitely like, you know, do your, you know, maybe even just have a piece of paper where you have all the chakras. You can even just go get a crayon and get a color for each chakra, and you highlight to yourself like where are the chakras that for you you're like that one, you're like these ones are kind of flowing well, you know, I'm starting to feel a little safe, grounded, and supported, and my heart feels, you know, like it's pretty active and it's working. Because I think really what it is, and what she talked about in the beginning of that video, you'll see when you watch it on your own, is what we're doing is we're it's kind of like when you need when your drains get clogged and you just need that system flush, and we're rechanneling these positive, powerful energies back into our bodies and recalling ourselves from all these places, not only from people. We need to recall ourselves from people, our exes. We need to recall our energy from people, but we also are recalling it from the past so that we can be present in the here and the now, and in the sense of I am present in my body. And right, yesterday I talked about lowering the volume. So as you lower the volume, you'll be like, when I go to my mom's, I'm not triggered anymore. My body isn't in fight or flight. When she's next to me, I'm not feeling that sensation anymore, right? Because, you know, to a degree, it's like at some point you gave up. As far as like, and I think we do this with especially our parents. Those are the toughest relationships because that's mom, right? So in your mind you're rationalizing like she just cares, and it's like no. Like I've had to with my mom where we've gotten to a point where, you know, I've had to establish boundaries with her that are tough because mama bears are like, I don't care what you say. I don't care if you're 95. You're my baby. And if I feel like calling you 100 times, I'm going to do that. And me having to explain to her, that's disruptive to my life. And as much as you think that's okay, can you imagine somebody calling you 10 times back to back to back to back to back? And then the verbiage you're using is, I'm so worried about you. And you're placing that energy and anxiety onto me. And it's not that serious. And you're placing me into a state of anxiety and lack of calm and lack of peace. I have peace. And there's definitely evolutions and levels to how we have to deal with our parents and meeting them where they're at, but also establishing boundaries as grown people and allowing them to know, you know what, mom, I respect you, but you know, I'm not going to be available this week. So if you call me, just know I'm okay. Like there's times I have to literally not talk to her for a week when I'm trying to focus on something, because I know that talking to her, and we've come far because I have to, you know, and that's me speaking life into her. Like, you know, she'll be like, I'm so worried about you. And I'm like, you don't have to have that energy for me though.
Right.
You're wasting energy on me that you need to pour into yourself.
Right. Yes.
But it then becomes that, you know, if you looked at the picture, it then becomes that it's like a cycle of like, of feeding, of like being a leech, where it's like equally she needs your energy to feel worthy, right? That's the other thing we do as parents. You feel worthy in knowing, like, you feel unworthy once your kids leave the nest and you've done everything you could. You've literally sacrificed. Our parent, and a lot of older generations did this, where they sacrificed their whole lives to raise kids. Never thought, well, what do I like to do? Who am I? Who is Tamika? Who is Ebony? Not who is mom, right? Because you get around your friends, you're like, oh, how old is your son? And how old is your son? And my son did this. And who are you? What do you like to do despite your children? Did you twerk before you had children? Did you stop twerking because you felt like because you had children you could not do that anymore? Right? There's certain parts of ourselves that we have to honor because that's the essence of you. Mom is just that thing, the other thing that you do, just like your jobs. Right. But I would definitely encourage you to step into a meditative space and in the forefront of finding ways to heal with her and through her, and not to be her healing either. Yeah. But to heal yourself in a way to where you start creating boundaries, you start speaking up for yourself and doing things in a way that allows you to take your energy out of her energy, to where she knows, like, and speaking life over her. Ma, I love you and I appreciate your concern for me, but sometimes it really bothers me when you do this and X, Y, and Z. And sometimes I think parents are automatically combative to that, because I think it's just like that parent mind state, but over time, when you keep with love repeating to them and letting them know, I respect you, I love you, but hey, it's like when you fire somebody, I respect you, I love you, but you're fired. Right?
Can't work here no more.
Right. Yeah. Today's your last day, right? I'll take your badge. You're like, oh, you just said you respect me, you love me. I do. Have a great day. But this is it, it's kind of the same thing to me. But so it's your personal identity and your protective psychological boundaries. And this is why it's so important to go back, right? This is creative, sexual, playful, feminine. When we are sacrificing our personal identity, like your personal identity is no longer the daughter of, you know what I'm saying? It's no longer whatever. It's even like when women will be divorced. I hear so many women do this and it makes me cringe. And they'll be like, well, my husband.
You what?
Right. They'll still say, they'll still say as if it's a present tense thing, because you haven't created your own personal identity, but your protective psychological boundaries. So the quote that is just the representation of this chakra is, everything that happens to you is for you. Really embodying, it's like listening to the questions that she said, and she said, it doesn't matter if you're sitting in front of somebody and you react a certain way to this particular man. And a lot of times we do this as women. Well, like, if it was a different man and no. The common denominator is always you. So it's, what have you attracted to yourself to show yourself where you need to heal, where you need to grow? Because even as you become more, there might come a time where you realize, well, this does not serve me. This does not work for me, because in realizing what's happening for me, God just had to show me where I wasn't really ready for this, or I wasn't, I still have areas of improvement. And how many times do we get into relationships and we really think and believe, well, as I improve, they'll improve. As I grow, they'll grow. And I think that's something that can happen, but I feel like this is why you have to know yourself, and you have to know your body, and you have to see where you're being triggered and how the triggers feel. Because I could say it to you, but I feel like it takes discernment. Because how many times have you talked to a girlfriend who's like, oh my God, girl, he did this and he did that. And it's like, I've done it. I done broke up with, when I was with my ex, we broke up so many times in private, There were so many weekends I'm at my homegirls like, sis, can you believe it? But it really was just, everything was happening for me to show me what it really was. But because of my pain filter, I couldn't process that until I fully separated myself, like, oh shit.
Yes, that's so real.
Damn, or you couldn't see it because you didn't want to see it, because you were looking through pain.
Yep.
And that's why it's like we have to get to the point where we have the discernment and the wherewithal enough to be like, wow, where am I not allowing this everything that happens for me to be for me, and I'm trying to make a circle fit into a square. Right? And in our personal identity, if our personal identity is so attached to pain, think about the societal things that they've said to us. I remember I listened to even, the Keisha Cole verses or whatever yesterday. It's like when I listen to all these old songs that we used to all jam out to, I'm like, this is toxic as fuck.
Yeah.
This is so toxic. Like, I can't believe, I can sing it now as an adult and appreciate it a little bit from a different perspective, like third person, but sometimes I'll be like, whoa.
Yeah.
This is toxic, right? Pain is love. I could think of this Jay-Z song I was singing earlier. That really that where we grew up and just it was pain is love, pain is love, pain is love, and we've associated with this that we've disconnected from the true love, and we're looking through pain that we don't have the personal identity of what is love for me, what do I need, what is my love language, how do I know when it's not working anymore, how do I know when I'm trying to control the situation or I'm trying to control the person. You ever be in a relationship, and this is what was reflected for me, which was like we both had levels of control. My level of control was I'm leaving you. His level of control was emotional unavailability. So we keep this cycle going and we think, well, we just need to work on this and we just need to work on that. And it's like, no, we're just trying to put a whole circle into a square. Because it's like the post I shared today, some people are only meant to be with the unhealed version of you, because as the things that are coming out of you, I think when we deal with certain people, it shows that they're either for you or they're not for you. And I think when you don't know yourself, you can't discern that. Right? So you know what I'm saying, girl? You gotta say no more. So mastering your responses, you're aware that you are bringing your motivations to the surface. So what is the thing in motivations? To me, it's like AKA your pains, right? What are you investing into? How are you supporting yourself? Are you afraid to make money? The question she asked. Do I need to control anybody? Do I allow others to control me? Do I have addictions? Right? Yesterday, I really wanted to come across, and as I thought about it, that was an addiction. It would work becomes an addiction of ours.
Absolutely.
Right? The addiction of proving our worth and channeling our pain into other areas so we don't have to feel them, so we don't have to see them, so we don't have to be real with them.
Yeah, I'm a master buffer. I'm addicted to creating buffers because I don't like pain. I don't like pain. Physical.
Buffer like what?
Buffer like, and I'm now identifying them as addictions. Like I wrote down my addictions: being in love. I like that euphoric feeling of being in love, but it's like it's an addiction for me. I need it. I feel like I need, and when I don't have it, I feel heartsick, or sometimes it's people, like, okay, well, he's hurting me. I feel hurt when I'm with him, but so now I'm going to talk to this one because he's filling the time, he's filling the gap.
Say that.
Makes me feel good, but I know my heart isn't really connected to him, but he's feeling like as soon as I became separated from my ex-husband, I immediately entered into an emotional relationship with somebody else. And as I started to heal, I identified that it wasn't about that man. It was about him filling the silence and filling the space that was now empty because my husband of 14 years is now gone. And I'm alone in this big house. My kids aren't here. They're with him. And I could not deal with it. So I filled my time with anybody and anything that made me feel good. And it was my best friend who at Summer who was like, you are a master buffer creator. Stop. You have to, just like you say all the time, you have to sit in it. And I'm like, nope, I'm not. There's no chairs here. I'm not sitting. I will find something. And so for me, it's been alcohol, it's been marijuana, it's been being in love, it's been work. I immersed myself in my work when I became divorced. I immersed myself in that relationship, staying on the phone till 3 a.m. because I hated being alone in that bed, and try to convince myself that it was about this new great man who came, and he's like, no, I knew off rip this dude was not for me, but I was gonna make a circle a square because that's what I needed in the moment. So it's like, but in the moment, I didn't know all that. But as I'm healing, and just like you said, I identify, it's really easy to blame the other person solely for the ending of your relationship when you were cheated on. It's like, you did wrong, but now I'm identifying that some of my energies, some of my attitudes, not saying that it validates the behavior or whatever, but I can understand how maybe I was creating a gap that he was trying to fill.
Oh, yes.
The same way I do with the whole needing buffers. And it's like such a realization to me, like, dang, like I had a lot to do with this too. I had a lot to do with it too. And I, at the end of my marriage, saw him, got girls calling me and he's this and he's that. But like, yeah, but you were there for 13 years. Like, what part did you play in that? What energies was I giving off to him? Because I didn't trust him with my heart, so I had to control him. See, if I can trust you with my heart, then I'm not controlling. I'm like, oh, I want you to leave. But if I can't trust you with my heart, then I need to make sure you're not going to hurt me. You know?
Oh, I know, girl. Yes, I know. You said so much, and I hope whoever watches this on the playback really feels this at a soul level, because that's the healing. And I really do believe this, because I think you are a whole ass human. Okay, and if you dive into your work, if you have a drink, if you smoke a blunt, if you talk to somebody, right? You know, I think because we have so many levels of guilt and shame within ourselves that hinder, like those are like the deepest emotions that really block a lot, because you'll turn your, well, I didn't do the best into shame, opposed to just self-realization, like, all right, fuck it, like, do better next time, right? You take a test, you get a B, do better next time. That's it. You're not sitting there like, oh my God, and no, you just do better next time, right? You score better, you study more. Again, turning down the volume is, all right, I used to smoke 7 days a week, all the time, every time I felt triggered. Now I smoke occasionally when I feel like it. Because I think we then suppress, just like we talked about in the beginning, there's so many social constructs that when we don't move in the way that we just are as people, because we're going to evolve and change. Maybe at some point in life, you're not going to do that said thing, but I don't think we should damn ourselves in the process. The self-realization. So if you drink all the time when you're triggered, maybe you still, that don't mean you got to go cold turkey and never drink again. Because I think we do extreme. We're like, we're either all in or out. Right? There's no balance. I'm just all in or I'm just not doing nothing, right? It's a flat blunt or no blunts.
Right.
No, find a balance. Find a balance that works for you, and don't damn yourself because of your self-realizations. I find so many people do that, and then we just, right, we talked about yesterday, you have shame about the shame. Like, damn, when does it stop? When do we stop ourselves and say enough? So in my mind, I always try to keep that, because, you know, when I separated from my ex, you know, I wasn't, you know, it was months that had passed, but there was someone who kind of came in, but I also knew enough to be like, Eb, just because he's better than what you knew doesn't make him your husband. Right? Let's not go far left. Let's not go all in with this, right? He's a friend. He's a nice guy. He, you know, he's teaching you shit. You guys have a beautiful exchange, but just let it be what it is. And if y'all don't call or text each other, and maybe it ends up y'all don't, you know, it just dissipates, it's all good.
Yeah.
It's all good. It's okay. You know, I think it's just the realization of how we feel time that allows us to feel time differently and lower the value, so that we're not then also repelling the experiences that teach you. Does that make sense?
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
It's like, how the fuck you gonna know what's out there if you don't date?
Right.
You want to become a Mormon and live in a circle and just wait for your husband to come walk upon you, right? And I think everybody else has their methods. There might be women who be like, I was celibate for 5 years and I prayed for him. Like, sis, that's your method. That method works for you. And that's fine. And it's fine. It sounds good and dandy to the public, but behind closed doors, did that really work for you?
Right.
Did you have some toys? Are you not disclosing you have a sex fetish? Like, what is going, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what's the real story? I want to know. You know what I'm saying? That's why I believe in authenticity of, do what works for you, because there are going to be periods of life where you're going to feel it on your heart where God's like, sis,
yes,
you need to sit down. Just sit down. Just take a bow out of dating just for a couple months so we could do some things together.
Yes.
Or if you're going to date, just date with a loose heart. Stop being so invested into these niggas.
I'm trying to be in love with everybody.
Right. And this is trauma. This is what trauma has taught me, right? The minute we learn something different, we be like, oh, I like him.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, he's the one.
He's got to be the one because he's different. I said to Summer one time, I was like, it's a shame. We've been dealing with such clowns that somebody come in halfway right and we are like, he is a knight in shining armor. And then we treat them like that and give them everything. And then you're 2 months in and you're like, oh, just because he wasn't doing this, and this, he has his own stuff. Like, I just think, it's such a rush to like make things right and make it like, I want you to be in love with me so we could just be happy and everything. But like, I'm learning, like, I want to know about your childhood. Like, what's your relationship like with your parents? Like, how do you treat your children's mom? What's that relationship like? You know what I mean? Like, I need to know a lot of different things, but it's very easy when you've been treated in a way that does not add value to your life for so long. Somebody who comes in and adds even a drop of value, and you're like, somebody, like we were talking about, like putting my name with their last name. That sounds good. I'm good. It's different, and my name sounds good with his last name.
And listen, I fully believe, I have my friend, she has a really great friend. Her friend's name is her page is Yes God Wellness. And she did a video where her husband, I don't know how long they've been together, but he proposed to her within like 2 months of them dating or some shit like that. And not that I don't think those stories exist and that things exist. Here's the deal. But when we're working on ourselves at higher levels, in private, smoke your blunt, sis, but did you meditate to some chakra music afterwards? You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry, full disclosure. Like, you know what I'm saying? I just, that's how I move with things. I just feel like, do the work though. So that when the things happen, when dude who you felt 2 months ago, you start feeling like, I don't really like you no more. You're perfectly fine with that shit. And you're not going to be like, well, I did, we did this, or, I really like his kid. Like, fuck that, bruh. It was fun. No hard feelings.
You're awesome.
Right. It's like when you fire somebody, you don't sit there and it's not a 20-minute conversation, 5 minutes or less. Like, you got to go, I need your badge, right? You don't sit there breaking it down. You just 5 minutes or less, you're an employee. This is what happened. I got to let you go. And and in those situations, that's what I remember when I think about the emotional stability that we need to have, only because I've had that experience of firing so many people that we have to learn to take the emotion out of it and to sometimes insert the rationale, the crown chakra. Let's just be a little rationale and step into spirit and knowledge and just be like, is this working for me? Has he shown me things that really bother my spirit? Allow yourself to remove the emotion so you can move forward with life. So you're not paying for the repercussions of staying in spaces for too long that you don't desire to be in, or that aren't working for you, or that aren't a good fit. And it's okay.
Yes.
Right? It's kind of like hotels. I'm sorry, this is so far left, but it is relevant because we're getting to something. I read an article yesterday about, and it's perfect. We're talking about the sexual chakra because, when we get into sex and, I think culturally we have issues
Mm-hmm.
on a whole other level, and really honoring our bodies, that if we desire to have sex with someone, you know, how do we do things, and how do we honor that portion of just like, that's the way life is.
Right.
Right, that's the pull of life. And if you feel called to do what you do, it's removing the emotion so that it doesn't turn into, well, I gave it and he didn't call me back, and like all these just negative things opposed to like, no, that's what I wanted to do. We're two grown ass adults,
Right.
and we were safe, we were whatever. And just like as women and as people, allowing ourselves to be without creating those titles of you know, like even just with that, like a hoe, what a hoe is, or preserving yourself. Then I read a whole nother article where a woman's like, I didn't have sex until I was married. She grew up in a Mormon culture. She's like, she was married for 14 years. The sex was never good. He was ashamed for having sex with her. She felt undesirable. You see what I'm saying? There's all these things that create so much problems when we just don't know ourselves. Forgive ourselves, embrace ourselves. Like if you felt like doing a whole escapade on your trip to Costa Rica, who is to judge you for that? Other than you? Who is to put some type of label on what you chose to do and how that looks and if it's good or bad and all these different things? That's why I think it's so important that we really tap into our bodies and really have a balance of, as I'm healing, as I always will be, I get to still be me. I get to still date. I don't have to become vegan, wear white every day, and sew my vagina up with a thread.
Yep.
It's just the balance of it, of why while you're healing, you have to give yourself that ability to still be human, to still, you know, it's a different level of doing a thing and then realizing, damn, Tamika, you know what? I'm really creating a buffer with this right now. Or, you know what? I feel like a month ago I started lying to myself. And this is why I'm feeling a little separated from myself, because it's something I really want to say to this person and I haven't said it. And it's bothering me. It's eating me up because I'm trying to play nice right now and I'm not honoring me. To me, that's the higher consciousness and level of the elevation of the spirit, the elevation of being both human and a spirit, and learning how to balance the both of the dualities and being unapologetic about you being you.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I just feel like that's the balance that to me creates a balance within ourselves. And when you get triggered, it's more just like when I said it yesterday, like, oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. Right now, I feel really insecure. Right now, I feel really unloved. I don't like this feeling, but I'm going to sit in it because this is some interesting shit. Why do I feel this way? And I want to rid myself of it. And learning about these chakras, you're going to be like, oh shit, Tamika, we going to go listen to some heart chakra shit today. Because I love myself and I am worthy. And I'm going to go in the mirror and tell myself how much I love myself. And turn this shit right around. And heal through it.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I'm done.
What I'm learning now is it's not always about the other person being wrong or doing something wrong. It's about how I feel. So it's like I had to have a conversation. It's like, and I have to continue a conversation. It's like, I'm not villainizing you. I think you're amazing. I think you're wonderful, but I have to be honest and true to myself. Am I comfortable with this scenario? And the scenario for you where you are is not wrong. You're doing the best that you feel like you can do, but I can't continue to pretend like I'm cool with this whole thing.
Yeah.
And not villainize them. And not like, to me, it's like, well, we've only been together for this many. No, it's about how I feel. I don't like that shit. Period. And that's what matters the most. And I don't honor I'm always making excuses like, well, and no, like I don't, it is causing dis-ease in my spirit.
Yes.
And that's what matters the most. And to your point, you don't have to villainize the person for it. It doesn't mean that they're doing something wrong. And I'm really starting to learn that, like, I could still love you, but know that, like, we can't have this type of relationship.
Precisely. And it feels so good. You know what I'm saying? Like I swear the levels that I've grown in the past year alone of just honoring that. And, you know, like you know, again, the duality of being spirit and human is like, I'm not going to do what I did before. I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm okay with this. I'm not going to sit here and bite my tongue. I'm not going to wait days to speak my voice. And I'm not going to allow, right? And this is where you start seeing the different energies that have always been around you and the things that you've allowed come into play, where you're like, oh, here come the mama womb. Because the mama womb can show up in a male. It doesn't have to be a woman. Your mama womb can show up in a male where he's doing the same shit mommy does to you. Right? Because even though she means well, it's manipulative. And not, and you know, we're talking about manipulative to your energy. She's now pulling on your prana and your life force,
right,
to fill in her worthiness. And a lot of moms do this of like, I'm worthy because, you know, I still, you know, I don't got shit going on with my life, but you know, I'm making sure by me interjecting in her life, did your kids eat, and like, sis, you don't have nothing to do today? Right? And recognizing that. And I think for you, where you're going to start owning your power, because you've spoken about this, is definitely in the throat chakra of, how do I say what I have to say? Because this is the problem with the throat chakra. And I used to do this, which is, you say what you say, but you're too worried about being nice that nobody understands what you really said. You didn't really get the point across to where they understood it, right? There's a difference between this doesn't work to, oh, you're so nice and you're really kind and we have a lot of, no, like sometimes it has to be plain form.
Yeah.
This doesn't work for me. This is what's going to happen going forward. I appreciate you. This has been great. Because sometimes you have to hurt feelings because you didn't pay attention to the signs. You were too invested. You were too triggered, too hurt. And you had dived into something that was out of a lens of pain. And then when you woke up, you took the glasses off and you're like, oh shit, this doesn't work. Right? Because I think there's too many times that we're trying to exercise our voice in ways that don't convey the point, don't convey what we're trying to say. And then you end up overcompensating for it. And I feel like it's still misunderstood. You get off of a conversation, it's like, I feel like I've just expelled so much energy, but I'm still not understood. We're still not in a place of clarity. We're still not in a place of like, you know, when you fire somebody, they know they're fired. It's not like, oh, so should I go clock in, or like, should I, you know what I'm saying? You're like, no, you're going home. That's that. And knowing how to be assertive in that feeling and in that stance, and also getting that across in just a way that satisfies you, to where you end that. And I'm telling you, Tamika, when you start doing different things in different ways, and it's just point blank period, your spirit, you're going to feel it within. It's kind of like when you clean your closet.
Yeah.
And it just feels so like, oh, that felt so fucking good. So good to just get that out, say what the fuck I had to say, and not try to do it in a way. I used to do this all the time. Let me do it in a way that first I'm thinking about you. And every time I walk away, like, this person don't understand a fucking thing that I said, or we then encounter the same conversation again.
Yes.
Like, I don't have patience for that anymore in my life. I'm not having a conversation twice. It's for my kids.
Yeah, right.
And they're still little, and they're gonna get to an age where I'm like, I'm not doing it anymore. There's certain things with them where I'm like, I'm not saying that again.
Yeah.
You're too damn smart. I'm not saying that again. But you know, it's just really getting to that space and honoring your pain points. And by honoring them, we do the things that heal them, which is it's the actions of speaking your voice, seeing where you're like, oh, I am a buffer creator. I don't like that uncomfortable feeling like, you know, I'm unloved, or I'm unseen, or I'm unsupported, or that I don't have a flow within the say-so of this situation, you know? So let us meditate. I feel like it's in church. We're like, let us pray. Let us pray. Altar call. This is an altar call. Who needs to come to the altar? I used to be at the altar every Sunday, like, Lord.
I'm like, this is not working. I'm not supposed to have to be here every Sunday. Not working. Right,
everybody in the church starts side-eyeing you, like, she really be up there every damn weekend. What she do on the weekend?
On the floor. Why is she on the floor? Look, she rededicates herself every Sunday.
Oh my goodness, girl, you are not alone, because I was up there too. I'm like, I just gotta stop going to church because I don't know what to tell y'all. Y'all judging me too much, and I need deliverance.
Deliverance.
You're
Yeah.
trying to get this deliverance.
Yeah.
Oh, too funny, girl. I was up there too, right in the altar.
I think I share with you. I'm the one where you go to those church meetings or something where they have somebody who prophesies without fail. You and every time I come to one of these things, they call me out every time. So sometimes I would go to things and they're like, "We're gonna go into prophecy," and I'm like, "It's the bathroom." I'm out the door. I'm not about to just play my tapes in front of everybody. I'm sick of this.
And that's your calling.
Yeah.
That's your calling.
Every single time, without fail, any state, any denomination, any hue.
Yes. Yes, because you have a glow.
And then I'll be in there like, stop glowing.
Listen, I've had that happen quite a bit.
Yes.
That's your calling, and that's, people who are intuitive, you just see that. You just gravitate towards the ones who have activated levels within themselves that you are able to be a channel through them. And I definitely want you to step into that calling of yours, as far as your ability to be intuitive, your ability to speak life into people. That's a gift that you have. Well, I hope that hit when you heard her talking about that, when you can literally.
I don't know if you heard me. I was like, oh,
really? No, I didn't.
Me? I was like, I was writing and she said that and it stopped me in my tracks. Like, oh.
Yeah.
Because people will be like, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. Or when she said, somebody could say the same exact thing to someone that you said, but when you said it, it had an impact.
Yes.
Received it, but the other person said the exact same thing and it went in one ear and out the other.
Yeah.
And that's why I was so good working with children, at-risk youth. Through to him, give me 5 minutes. And I would connect. I would connect all the time.
And now you see the energy of where it's coming from. And that's the thing with chakras, is we're able to then tune into them. Yeah. And I'm telling you, you're going to feel it I say by June. Just let me know. The thing that I sent you, if you don't feel it now, I feel like you might even feel it now. When you listen to those, that specific Apple iTunes, those tracks.
Yes.
Over time, I'm telling you, you're just going to feel the vibrations in those areas.
Wait. Oh, I can't.
Yes, I think you already do. It's just trusting it, leaning more into spirit, getting out of the logical side of things, and allowing your sight beyond sight to rule you. Because I think when we become, I think the detriment sometimes of becoming successful in life is we close off the third eye chakra and we become too practical. Like we use it, but the practicality rules. So
I've been drawn to third eyes. Like I got this third eye ring in Mexico. Third eye charm that I had my man friend. I was like, can you put this on my Alex and Annie bracelet? And he found a way to do it. So I wear that. I've been very attracted to that recently. Seeing them a lot.
Wow.
Like I was on the page. I'm about to order some of the bracelets, the third eye bracelets that you have. Because I was immediately attracted. Like, I need that.
Yes.
Yeah. And this in the past few months, I've just been kind of like, I want to have it on me. I want it on my wrist. I see them all the time now.
It's because you're too logical.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unworking that mechanism, and it doesn't take long, right? Again, anytime we're talking about chakras, it's honing in on that energy and like literally bringing life force to them, healing light. Even if you're like, you can think of a blue light, you can think of a white light, but it's literally the fact that you're intentionally focusing on that area, right? It's like when there's a will, there's a way. You're open. That's how we open. I feel like we make it so complicated, and this is what I want everybody to learn, is to go home and learn how to do it yourself. Go home and at least learn how to heal. If you still need support along the way, I got you. But for you to be on your own, if I can't be with you 24/7. So if you're in a space where you're triggered and you're like, you automatically can tell yourself, I got a headache, I'm in my third eye too much, I'm overthinking this shit and I need to relax. Let me do a third eye meditation, right? I'm having a headache. Oh, I have irritable bowel syndrome. Like, no longer should you even tell yourself, proclaim that, or even just be like, well, what the fuck do I need to work on that is so triggering to my sacral chakra area? Yes. I really think it's probably your mother. I think it's Mama Bear, because that's a lot of heavy, intense energy, especially if you're still triggered when you're around her.
It's a physical manifestation. It's physical. Like I'm kind of like snappy. I try not to be. And then also things happened in that house. But so there are just so many triggers in that house. And then she's like, what are you doing? Well, why are you doing it that way? Well, I don't put my dishes that way. Well, I don't. Well, how come you? And I'm like, dude, like, I want to spend time with you. I do, but I cannot. At a 2-day threshold. Okay. Then I got to go home and get this
I
off.
want you to think of psychological boundaries of like meeting people where they're at. And I'm telling you this, just try this. Next time you it's either maybe start inviting her over to you, or when you go there, like in your car, before you even walk in, just claim your energy. Yeah. Claim your energy. You like psychologically get yourself into a space of flow and of like unbotheredness, because you know how she is. But over time, this is just a journey just in your healing that you're going to be able to see. Like, this was the first year, you know, my mother, she also like projects a lot onto me, where she'd be like, I'm so sorry about your childhood, because she's having her own little awakenings. And I'm like, you have to forgive yourself. I'm over that. Yeah. Like, so many other experiences that trump being a child. Like, I've been through so much other shit that shit is like way over there, forgiven and gone. Yeah. But this was the first year, this Christmas, you know, we were just hanging out. You know, she's always like, come have a drink with me, you know. So I'm like, oh, fine, you know, I'm gonna come chill with you. Because I had noticed that in my healing, I started limiting my time around her. But by creating that, it's kind of like when you tell someone you've forgiven them, but they feel your energy. So no matter if you're like, I forgave you, I forgave you, I forgave you. So a part of my healing was, I was like, Eb, you got to go start being around her more. You got to allow those triggers to come up. You got to allow them to come up and feel them, see them, experience them. But again, I walk in by protecting my energy too, right? I'm being aware of energy. And, you know, we had a great moment, and I just told her, I said, you're a really great mom. Like, I want you to know that there was life that I had to speak into her, so that she not projecting onto me, so that she could, and the next day she's like, I can't believe you said that to me. And that made me so emotional. And just like, by me just allowing and seeing how she triggers me and what I began to do, not that I still don't have boundaries with her, because I do, because she's still her, but I'm able to, you know, it's kind of like, instead of her controlling what energy I'm in, I'm dictating the energy I'm in when I'm around her.
And I need to get there. My mom would be like, why are you so jumpy? Why are you so anxious? Why are you wringing your hands? Why are you, and I'll be like, nobody else says that to me.
It's her energy.
Nobody else. Every time I'm here, she wants to put me on medication. You probably need to see a psychiatrist. You probably need to be on meds. Like, why are you wringing because when I'm nervous, I wring my hands. I've done it since I was little. And I pay attention to, like, why am I wringing my hands? And my hands are almost raw by the time I leave my mom's house. It's true. But I'm like, but I'm not like that anywhere else. I don't have nobody else telling me this.
Yeah.
I don't want to be like, it's you. But I don't, I don't feel like I can say that to her.
No, you can't. And really, it's you allowing you're still triggered by a thing, by memories, experiences that you're still living in today, right? I think I had said this yesterday, and I forgot how I said it, but it's like, you know, if time is proof that time is not a concept. When you stepped into that space, and you are now, whatever age you're now at those ages again, in that space again, at free will. Like, you have the free will to say, I'm not going to, or I'm going to. And unconsciously, you're just all there, and you're all in. And because you haven't found a way to pull your energy from her, to create psychological personal boundaries, actual real boundaries when you're around that person, and even just boundaries of allowing them, it's kind of like even with parents, relationship and children, teaching them how to love us. It's not just relationships.
Yeah.
Like intimate, romantic. I believe even in with our parents, it's teaching them how to love you. It took years for my mother to know how I am as a person, and I love you, and I get there's drama going on in the family, but I want to say this wholeheartedly and with love, I don't care. I don't. I love you all, and there's always something going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've done my part, and I do my part when I can. But I don't live my life in drama. I don't live my life out of peace, and saying to her, I value peace. And sometimes I feel like you don't value peace, and you try to project that onto me as if I'm the stuck up person, but I have standards. My standard is peace. And sometimes you disrupt my peace. And if I'm sharing with you how you're hurting me and how you're affecting me, I don't feel like it's fair for me to keep allowing you to do that to me. Like there's been times I've had to straight not talk to her for months, like 6 months at a time. Oh, you want to play with me? You don't respect my boundaries? Because if you were anybody else, I will cut you off. But because you're mommy, I'm giving you this whole yard and you just running with it. You're not even allowing me to be the adult that I am. I'm going back to 5-year-old self and feeling like I can't say the things I have to say because you're mom, and that's not fair. I'm a whole grown ass woman.
Yep.
We can't do that. No. Because then I can't grow. And as much as I'm doing all these, just like in a relationship, like you're doing all these amazing things, and you go home and, outside you're a celebrity, you go home and it's like you a little ant on the floor. You're non-existent.
Oh, listen.
Right? So it's like establishing these boundaries, paying attention to energy, and learning how to talk to people from a healing place to where when you say it, it just resonates with them. And you always remind them, like, this is with so much love. I am growing, I am learning, and I really love you, but this bothers me, and I've had these conversations with people. If I don't talk to you, I want you to know that I'm at a place in life where I repeat this over and over to people. I value peace.
Yes.
I value it. Don't you like peace? I be rationalizing with people. Don't you like peace?
Yeah.
Don't you like that? I like it. Yeah. So I have children, I have a business, I have things that I'm doing, and I don't want you ever to think I'm up here and I'm looking down. No, I would love for you to be a part of my life and a part of my process. I respect you and I love you, and you're always going to be on the throne of mom. But if you can't respect me and the things that I wish, how is that fair to me?
Right.
That's not fair to me. It feels abusive.
It is abuse.
And I feel like with parents, we got to be, choosy with our words, because they get so tripped off for everything because they're not healed, right? That's the evidence that they're not healed, because they're trying to control and their chakras are misaligned. That's where you be like, Ma, I bought you some stones.
Well, here's the real panty dropper. My mom is a family therapist. So I used to listen to her telling other people how to be better to their children, how to communicate better, while she was being the polar opposite to me. So like all of that energy, all of that is in that house. I grew up in that house. She's still in that house. And then plus she's still doing it. So I'm going to be so glad when I'm to the point, and I'm better now. It's, it's actually better now, but it's still, so we're in a little thing now where I had to not talk to her for 2 weeks. I had to stand my ground. I text her, I love you. She wouldn't respond. I just want you to know I love you. I'm thinking of you. I'm in a whole other country. You definitely not checking for me. But I want to let you know that I love you anyway. Right? But I am not going to let you disrupt my peace. I'm not going to let you project your fear and your whatever on me. I'm in Mexico living it up, and I'm happy. I'm not going to let you put this fear in me about, no. We are two completely different people. I'm a risk taker. I'm a free spirit. And she, grew up devout Catholic, was a virgin until she married my dad, and hasn't been with anybody since. Nobody since my father. We're talking 30 years.
So she just needs to bust a nut is what the problem is.
I'm like, just like Summer all the time. We're like, she just need to get laid. She needs some ass.
Or a toy. Give her a toy. You need a toy, Sam?
I've said that to her. I offered to take her to one of those like parties. She's like, oh my God, that is so disrespectful. No, Mom, I'm doing because I love you. I want you to like, you actually need that as a woman. I know that you were taught that it's satanic and a sin and all those things, but like
We all got here.
Like, Mom, that's bananas to me. 28 years? You haven't had no sex in 28 years?
That's not normal.
That's normal.
You need to activate that root chakra.
Yes, she need, I'm gonna pay for her to take this. She needs 7 days of clarity. I'm being very serious.
If she's ready.
Yeah.
All right, so let us meditate. So, can you hear me over the music? Yes? It's too loud. I can't hear you. You can hear me?
Yeah, that's where the music is now. That's better.
Okay. Let me actually play it from over here because I can't turn it down the right way in that way. I don't like that. Okay, let's do it here. All right, so just close your eyes. And we're just going to take a deep breath in and release. Deep breath in and release. Another deep breath in and release. Today we're going to step into a space of honoring our divine feminine energy. We're going to honor our sexuality and our womb space. The space that literally is like a portal of the universe, bringing life, elevation. We're going to honor our playful nature, our joy, and remembering that our natural state is ease, calm, and flow. Relax your eyes and your eyebrows. You're going to wiggle up. Relax your jaw and allow your tongue to drop down from the roof of your mouth. Relax your shoulders, giving them a nice roll. Relax your arms and your hands. Relax your stomach. in your back. Relax your legs and your feet. And as we tap into a higher level of healing of your sacral chakra, we're going to step into the spaces and the experiences where we couldn't be creative or expressive of our true self. The spaces as a child, a teen, an adult, where we couldn't live in the identity of who we are. Breathe in through your nose and hold. And breathe out through your mouth. I want you to think back to experiences. Go back to a space, as hurtful as it may feel, when you couldn't be yourself. You couldn't express who you were. Go back to the experiences when your sexuality may have been violated, disrespected, or unseen in a healthy way. Breathe in through your nose and hold, and breathe out through your mouth. And as you see these experiences in your mind, I want you to raise yourself above them. And as you see yourself, I want you to pour love, kindness, and forgiveness, not only over the other people, but over yourself. Breathe in through your nose and hold, and breathe out through your mouth. And as you see these experiences, we're going to begin a process of emotionally, physically, and psychologically pulling ourselves from these experiences as we douse them with forgiveness, as we understand that every single experience, person, place, and thing had to happen for us to be who we are. And as you see these experiences, and as you physically, mentally, and emotionally just heal them from a space of knowing you are worthy, you have the choice to choose to bring your body, your mind, and your spirit back to the present. I want you to see these experiences begin to dissolve. Just dissolve into what they were and what they had to be for those times. And as you get high above them, I want you to go higher and higher until you're above the earth. Breathe in through your nose and hold. And breathe out through your mouth. I want you to see yourself in a space. And as you look around you, you just see darkness and stars. And just imagine knowing nothing, not being weighted down by the experiences, not being defined. Just step into the space of just nothing where you can be. You are surrounded by infinite love and potential and possibilities. Breathe in through your nose and hold. And breathe out through your mouth. And in this space, I want you to imagine your most healed self. Imagine the possibilities of what it looks like for you to be you. How do you walk? How do you dress? How do you express to the world that you are you, confidently, creatively, passionately, owning your sexuality, your femininity, your duality? Breathe in through your nose and hold. And breathe out through your mouth. And in this space of possibilities, there are no experiences, no thoughts, and no hindrances to who you are. You are joyful, you are whole, you are healed, activating deep, deep powers within you to just be. Breathe in through your nose and hold, and breathe out through your mouth. And as you hear me say these affirmations, I want you to remember that they vibrate at a level of truth. And as you focus on this truth, and we send healing energy to our womb space by honoring it, honoring the power of life, the life that's within us. As I strengthen my bond with God's divine energy, I have the capacity to feel, to learn, and to experience the world through my senses. I have a natural, joyful experience of sexuality and the sensual side of life. I connect with others without losing who I am. My sexuality is sacred. I am passionate. I feel a sense of abundance all around me, in the blades of grass, in the abundance of air, in the animals, the trees. Everything around me represents the abundance that's within me. I am a sensual and creative being. I am living a pleasurable life. And if I am in spaces that no longer feel pleasurable, I stand up for who I am, and I easily and effortlessly walk away. I am grateful for the joy of being me, the wonderful, amazing me. I trust my feelings and give them ample room for expression. I embrace and celebrate my sexuality. No longer will I be ashamed based on the views of the world, the views of myself, and the views of others. I release anything that doesn't honor me. I am honoring my body and treat myself respectfully. My sexuality is sacred. Breathe in through your nose and hold, and breathe out through your mouth. I am feeling complete peace from within. I am allowing my creativity to flow through me freely. It is my birthright to receive pleasure and to have all my needs met. I am radiant, beautiful, creative, and enjoy a healthy and passionate life. I attract like-minded people who support and love me for who I am. I love me for who I am. Breathe in through your nose and hold, and breathe out through your mouth. I feel confident in my choices. I feel playful. I feel respect for myself and others. I feel courageous and strong. I feel joyful. Breathe in through your nose and hold, and breathe out through your mouth. And take a cleansing breath in and out through your mouth. Again, cleansing breath in and out through your mouth. I just want you to smile. Just smile for the release. Smile for the presence of joy and happiness and the activation of who you really are. In this space, you have owned your power, your energy, and your creativity, and this is a space that you can go to at any given time to sit with, to release, to heal, to elevate the energy of you being you, of recognizing that everything around you is happening for the elevation and expansion of yourself, the expansion that is so normal. And as you release the things that do not serve you and you bloom in your darkest places, you are well, you are happy, you are joyful, you are present. And for the moments that you are not present, you are forgiving, you are graceful, and you are understanding of the duality of you being you. Breathe in through your nose and hold, and breathe out through your mouth. Deep healing breath in and release. Deep healing breath in and release. Open your eyes. I feel peace.
I do too.
I feel such a level of peace. So I'm gonna read this to you because the minute I said it's 11:22 right now. So I was like, what does that mean? Ooh, girl, it's the whole message. Hold up. So 11:22. Trust that the universe is unfolding a clue on your path that is right for you at this phase in your life journey. Your path might feel uncertain, but you are being reminded that you're not alone. You can safely forge ahead at your pace. Keep in mind that in the Creator's message can be delivered by angels or spirit guides to assure you that you are on the right place. You are in the right place at the right time. This is a divine message of encouragement that you are on the right track and you are going to be all right as you focus your attention on positive thoughts towards solutions that will propel you to something so much better on your path. You remember that your creative thoughts are the plans for your physical creations in this lifetime. Like any building process, you need a plan or a blueprint to guide and visually aid you to see how your creation will look when completed. As such, your thoughts are the blueprint of your life. When you are conscious of your life's blueprint, you have the ability to be presently aware of your empowering thoughts for creation. However, if you are subconsciously focused on what you dislike habitually, then you will create the things you do not want. For this reason, you realize that you have the ability to invent your future when you envision what you want in your present moment. So by making a consistent effort to consciously think positive thoughts and to express positive feelings, you can attract positive experiences into your life. In the end, you decide to carefully use your time and energy to focus on the things that are most meaningful to you. Touche. That was so good.
I definitely see that.
Yes. Yeah. So how do you feel?
I feel good. I feel light. I feel light and heavy at the same time. I'd say the heavy part was like identifying, before I got to go, when I go in the sky, I'm like,
Yeah.
it's just like such a relief.
Mm-hmm.
Like, as I shared with you, there are blocks, years of blocks in my childhood I can't recall at all. So I just saw myself like in this box that had 4 doors, and I'm trying to open the doors and I'm trying to yell, but nothing's coming out. And my mom is leaning up against the door on the other side. That's what I saw. So lifting up from that and like pouring love into it and then not feeling how I felt in that box, that was my childhood. I never had a voice. I'm not like, deal. I never had a voice. I never thought I could be who I wanted to be. I had to be who everybody else needed me to be. And so now it's hard to try and figure out how to be, myself.
And that's so powerful because it's probably why you're attracted to the third eye, because you want to invoke that energy of, well, where do I go? And how do I picture in that? And how do I stand firm in that?
Right.
It's almost like she created a mental prison for you.
Yeah.
That's what that visual gives me. And again, I want you to definitely hone in on this chakra And simply, as simple as it is, the ones that I sent you to listen to, that has the whole chakra, all of them. So I would, even before you go to bed, if you'd like, or just even in the morning, like before you go to bed, maybe just put on the sounds and don't really go there, because allow your spirit to just allow yourself to recall moments that are more visual and real than just like your spirit basically gave you a physical, spiritual representation of your emotion, right? But you still haven't recalled the experiences that are the triggers. Like, well, when she did this, or this time when I was going to prom, and she, like, whatever they might be for you, because through those experiences, when you can actually go there,
I had one before the whole box thing. That was the time when my parents had separated for like the fourth time. I felt like my mom was trying to make my dad feel guilty for not being in the house. So she called him over one time, and she was being like really weird to me. She wasn't talking. She's like, "Your dad's coming over to talk to us." I'm like, "Okay." And he came, and we were sitting at the kitchen table. She's like, "1 second." And she came back, and she slammed my diary on the table and told my father to read it. And so I think for that represented like even my private thoughts. You know what I'm saying? I was young. Even my private thoughts.
You're not safe.
I'm not safe. Not even in my private thoughts. The beautiful thing about that story was my father's response. My father was like, "How dare you?" He was like, "I'm not opening that diary. Don't you ever disrespect my daughter like that." And then he said, "I'm going to tell you, there's nothing in that diary that would ever make me feel any different. Just because."
I probably pissed her off.
Oh, did she listen? Like a month after that,
failed.
It backfired. It backfired. But to me, it was such that moment came to me when we were meditating. That was the one moment that I remember, that like that feeling was like, I can't.
Yes, go back there. So when your affirmations too, I want you to, in that experience, right, you need to start affirming to yourself that my private intuitive thoughts are valid, they're real, and I follow them. Right? Because she violated your privacy, she violated your ability to right, when your diary is like that thing that's representation of the processing of it all, right? So if that's something that stuck out to you, it's like, well, I can understand why you don't trust the processing of your own intuitive thoughts. You don't trust the processing of your emotions. And I'm so happy your father was a sounding board of like, no, right? Imagine if that went real left. But definitely in your meditation, I would say do it in the morning, because I think you just need to give yourself space, unless you feel up to it and you want to just dive into the space again.
Yeah.
I would personally just take a shower and let it go and do it in the morning, because then you're able to the heavy, I feel like the heaviness, it intuitively, trust your intuition. I want you to go with your intuition. If you feel called to go back into that space, go into the meditation I sent you that says sacral. Tap on the sacral sounds and literally go to that moment. Go to that moment, cry through it, feel the anger, feel the disappointment, feel the rage, feel all the things that you feel, because that's why she triggers you so much, because there's so many deep experiences within you that you have not settled with her. And she can't do it for you, because it can't, like, that's the thing with healing, is it can't be, well, let me sit and talk to you about the things you did, because she's going to combat you. And if she's a therapist, she's like, intuitive. She's like OG, not even intuitive. That's like emotional intelligence on psychotic level, right? That's why they tell guys, there's like guy code is like, never date a woman who's a therapist. Like, don't date her as. If she's in the psychology field, do not date her as. She's going to be difficult to date, because you're too emotional. It becomes manipulative sometimes with a lot of people, because they, it's almost a weapon formed against you because they're so damn smart. But if you feel called to go there, to grab a sacral stone, even a clear quartz, or an orange stone, or even a rose quartz.
My cousin gave me, that's ridiculous. Remember, I told she did these intention candles, and she gave me the associated stones. I have them in a bag upstairs.
And see the thing, right? And so when we get to tomorrow, right, when you get to your solar plexus, so the sacral is relationships, and then the solar is like, I am, like, with fucking conviction.
Yes.
I am, right? And how do you activate that when you have people who have always pushed that light down within you? They've always forced it down. So now you have, it's almost like, I used to have these visualizations when I would meditate, and I would always see, you remember Dragon Ball Z? Remember that?
My son watches that. Only through him. Yes, he watches. He has Dragon Ball shirts and everything.
Watch it one day with him. Just sit down and watch it with him. Only because I want you to feel the energy of, like, the power we have within us. And I used to keep having these visualizations, and God would just keep showing me, like, this is where I'm trying to take you, sis, and you're not trying to go there. Which is like, we have all this energy that just builds up, and then they just like skyrocket into the sky. They're just like, whoo, and they have all these powers, and it was like they like fight in the air, like pew, pew, pew. You're something like, are you watching this with me? But the reason, I used to see that as when I was a kid. They probably have like a new version of it now, but that was so, that's like the solar plexus of like that activation of like, oh, like I am who I am, and I'm gonna take the anger, and I'm gonna take it, and I have peace with it. But I do need to use that to fuel the I am.
Yes.
Or like, you're gonna see who I am, Mom, and you're gonna stop treating me like that. But also healing in your, like, keep going there with her, in your spaces. Like, this is an important chakra for you. Keep going, right? She said it's an expensive chakra. It really is, because this is when we get into relationships, and you have the foundation that's laid, and then it's like, well, what did that foundation teach you? What did what did they then instill in you? How did they treat you? What are the memories that just are so impactful to you being you? And it's like, oh shit, well, that's why you don't feel safe in trusting your intuitive voice. That's why you question it so much. And you're like, that's not really logical. And her profession is a super logical profession. It's a factual profession. Well, what's factual? If it's factual and you're sweating and you're doing like this, it's like, sis, you should realize you make me uncomfortable. You should really be asking yourself some questions. Like, did you ever sit yourself down in the chair?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But that's not a space you can go to, because at that space, you haven't healed.
Yes.
So you're not going to be able to talk to her from a space of, I've healed, I'm perfectly fine. And going forward in your delivery, I feel like when I started to heal, when I delivered a certain thing, people heard me.
Yeah.
And not only did they hear me, but I stopped speaking to please them. I stopped showing up to make them happy. I stopped worrying about the emotions that they would feel because of the way that I feel. So I have to now block how I feel and make it work for all of us. And at the end of the day, it doesn't end up working for anybody, especially not me.
Yeah.
But you will get there. You will totally get there. I definitely encourage you to step into that space as much as you need to, recall many experiences, and they're going to start coming. They're going to start coming. And that's a beautiful experience, because that shows so much about the power of everything that happens to you is for you. So how was that for you?
Right.
And I think the beautiful thing is it shows you for you. Your father's response created the sounding board of, I trust my intuition and who I am, and the power to choose. The power to choose how I'm going to react to these future experiences, the power to choose how I react and interact with people, because she still triggers you. If she still triggers you, that's her power over you, right? It's like with an ex, right? When they still have power over us and they say some little shit and we're like, and you start to get just send the whole fucking paragraph, and you're like, you know what? Okay.
You're right.
Okay. Right. And it's just, I just know that once this shows that you just have to stay in the space of this chakra. It's a focus that you'll have to tune into when you're being triggered, and just go to that healing space, and you're sending light to it, right? And again, pulling your energy, like literally to pull your energy out of people's energy, you literally just, I have an affirmation I actually shared the other day, because I say this to myself when I think about people, and I've done this with my ex, where I sit there and I just I'm chanting in my head, I lovingly release the energy that I have within you, and I lovingly pull back my energy back into my body. I just pull it back from you. You don't get to have my energy anymore. We don't get to be intertwined. We don't get to have this soul tie.
Yes.
And it's with love. It's with love. It's not with anger. I'm pulling it back with love because it's mine.
Yeah.
It's mine to have. It's mine to be. It's mine to discover my sexuality, my creativity, my playfulness, and to finish any unsolved, unsettled business that I have not allowed myself to see or to feel, because you have my energy. So how can I find clarity in it when you got a portion of it still?
That's so real.
And it's that simple. It's really that simple. I'm gonna send you another one too. I feel like if you feel called to do the meditation, listen to this one. If you feel called to, if you're gonna meditate in the morning, I want you to listen to this other one. This is the meditation track that both of these have been the two ones that I have literally been listening to for the past 8 years, because they're so healing. They're so healing. I've never, to me, these are just like the most healing vibes I've ever felt, for the levels of healing that we need to bring into our life. And I didn't realize it. The reason why I got so attracted to this one I'm about to send you is because it would make my daughters fall asleep when they were babies. I would put it on and they just be out. And then I started meditating to it. And I'm telling you, the tears I shed the most, I told you that time when I was just like bawling. It was this here that I just couldn't even stop crying. I was just crying. And why is it not allowing me to just send it to you? I'm just have to paste it. I want you to just listen to them and see if they resonate for you. I've never had people listen to them. Actually, I'm not even going to say that because that's irrelevant, but see if they resonate for you. Because they are so, to me, these take me to a healing space of like, I'm healing now. I'm healing now. Because a lot of times this is the thing with healing, is we say, and I said this the other day, a lot of people are like, I'm trying my best to heal. No, you're not. Tamika, how are you trying your best to heal? And I'm not speaking to you. I'm just saying in reference to what we talked about. How are you trying your best to heal, but you create buffers all the time? But you'll sit there, you'll do a little meditation, you'll attend a little workshop, you'll go get a little diary, write some shit down. You're doing mindset work. You're doing the mindset work is up here. The physical healing work is down here.
Yes.
In the chakras. Let's get into it, baby. Let's bring up these emotions. Let's bring up the stories. Let's bring up the visuals. Let's bring up the memories and go back there. Keep going back to that damn moment until you go there and there's no more tenseness. This is what your body does when you're around her. The heaviness of carrying that weight, of not settling that experience with her. So you could forgive her. You need to forgive her.
Yeah.
There's so much forgiveness there. So much forgiveness, because she does what she knows. Right or wrong, bad or good or bad, titles or no titles. That's what she knows. And when we take our energy from that and we see it at that level of experience, when they're doing things, you're like, it's just like with a kid. When a toddler throws a tantrum, you don't throw a tantrum back. You don't, and as parents, I feel like I've had to elevate to that, where it's like, if they're throwing a tantrum, I can't take it personal. Right. That's their level of understanding of what they do at their age, and they feel like I need to throw a tantrum. With my son, I'm a so different mom than I was with my first daughter, who's now 11. I don't take his tantrums personal, and it helps me to make sure those tantrums are like 2 minutes, opposed to my other kids, where it's like if they threw a tantrum, it was like 30 minutes of us just being off course. Yep. Whereas with him, it's very simple. It's to the point. I know how to deal with him, and I'm not taking it personal, and I just kind of just stare at him. You done? Yeah, you done? You okay? You need a hug? You want a kiss? What you need? You hungry? You need a nap? You want some milk? Like, what you need? It's okay. And it's the same thing with us, right? How many times are we triggered and we're feeling off balance and off kilter. And because we don't know ourselves enough to like, let me go do this damn heart chakra meditation real quick. I'm feeling off. Let me breathe. Like this morning, I had a moment. I'm reading a book and all of a sudden I feel tense, just tense in my heart. But I'm tuned into me. Yeah. Am I going to push it away and be like, read the book, bitch? We reading the book. Just keep reading. Right? That's what we do because we don't know ourselves. So you don't stop and be like, I really got a whole pain in my heart right now. So I put the book down and I was like, I'm not even, because everything is not always, you have to go there. Maybe if you're in a space, you just got to breathe it out in that moment, right? Just knowing intuitively, trust your intuition to me because you're so intuitive. Yeah. All the shit that we've connected on personally without knowing, or like you meditating and then me and you doing something, you like, you know what I wrote this morning? Or you know what I said yesterday? You know what we've been doing this since last year. You know what I said? You know what I did? You know what? Because you're intuitive as fuck. But you've been taught to not trust that. You've been taught to dishonor that. And the success that you've had has placed you in a logical mind as a woman, not your intuitive mind. You move in your intuition. It's the intuition is what gives you the insight, but the logic is what you feel like dunks the ball. Oh, God. But it's not true. It is. Right? And that's why you have the discord. But you're going to get to it. I'm so excited for you, girl. I'm so excited. It's all good. That's why I told you it gets heavy. When we get to the sacral, it feels like all these feel good, and then it starts to be like, it's like the bumpy woo. Yeah. But it's going to clear up. Your energy is clearing, and just listen to what I'm saying and just give yourself so much grace. Yeah. In honor of like, damn, I really was willing to step into this space and I'm ready to let this go. Yes. I'm ready. Yeah. I'm so ready. Yes. And you're doing it. So go there. Whatever your intuition tells you, if you need to text me in the morning, if you need to text me tonight, I'll probably be up. Like, I'm here for you. I'm here with you. I'm just going to end this. Take a bath.